from the BUSD that's generated from deposit fees, the tax on dogs, and the collateral rehypothecation, which is being lent out to PancakeSwap to earn additional BUSD yield. Now, another major improvement that I'm super excited about is that we just got out of a meeting with a major DEX that has agreed to partner with us to allow us to lend them our single asset collateral on the platform as well. And in the next couple weeks before it goes live, I'll be naming this partnership. It's going to make everybody go ape. It's going to make everybody lose their head when they, when they realize the scope of this partnership and how huge it is. But this is going to allow us to earn millions of dollars of additional yield on top of what we were already earning and on top of the new pigs cash flow. So this is huge, right? We've already revolutionized the way yield farming is done by having a true revenue sharing model where the deposit fees and all of the capital that's being generated from the animal farm, instead of going to developers like it would be in any other platform, it's shared with the stakers of the governance token in the pig pen, which is the pigs, the pigs token. I meant it's shared with stakers of the pigs token in the pig pen, which is our governance protocol. The stakers of the pig pen also are able to use their pig stake as a form of governance to vote on future partnerships for vaults. So vaults are something that will be coming shortly after we go live, and it's essentially a way that we will be partnering with other development teams. They will offer a share of their total supply to be used as rewards for people that stake our native assets with their native token to earn their native token in the vault. And the primary functionality of the voting governance protocol will be voting on who we decide to partner with for these vaults. So that is, these are all first movers in the space that are providing utility and functionality and value that no other platform in the space is creating and generating for their user base and their investor base. Now, we had a vesting protocol in Pigpen previous to V2. So V1 had a type of vesting protocol, which was essentially a flat vesting protocol. You were staked for a period of time. Then after that period of time is made up, you are essentially unlocked. Your yield is unlocked. We have upgraded this to a new vesting protocol, which is, in my opinion, way more bullish for pigs, and also ensures that those who have a more long-term perspective are going to be the ones that enter the pig pen and are going to be the ones that are reaping these massive rewards from the pig pen. And this is a 2% vesting, which means your principal, your pigs in the pig pen, will be made available for you to withdraw at a rate of 2% a day. And the way this works is, on day 1, you will have 2% available. On day 50, you will have 100% available. So it builds every day, the amount that's available. Now, the pigs that you're earning, for the pigs dividends that you're earning, those become immediately made available to you. And you can choose to either claim them or you can choose to compound them. When you compound them, it's the same as any other kind of, staking protocol, essentially, where when you make a fresh deposit, it resets your vesting period. And this is why we're making those pigs immediately available, because we don't want to have it in a system where every day it's sending pigs to your stake, resetting your vesting period. It's 100% up to the user whether they want to just claim the pigs that they're earning or compound them into their principal, resetting their vesting period. But Doing that sets up a type of arms race where everybody will be trying to grow their principal in the system to get a larger share of these dividends, both BUSD and PIGS payout. And this is going to essentially lock people and incentivize people to lock themselves in the pig pen for longer, right? So this is going to be huge. And when you combine the fact that 86% of all the LP tokens for pigs is locked into the piggy bank, and the pigs tokens themselves are either going to be, there's two options here. It's either you decide to credit them to the pig pen, or you decide to send BUSD to the pig pen crediting contract, which will stake you in the piggy bank. And no matter what the community decides, it's going to result in over 86% of all the LP tokens being locked in the piggy bank, another about 10% being locked in various other contracts, and then 97% of all the pigs tokens being locked in various contracts, meaning there will only be about 3% of pigs actually in circulation when this goes live, which means there'll be a ton of demand for people to be buying, staking, and holding their pigs, and essentially no pigs on the market to sell. And this is why I believe, and the community believes, that pigs is just going to go absolutely ape when this thing goes live. I believe this thing's going to perform like we've never seen. So, and it's just math, right? So it's not hard to make these kinds of statements. Now, if you were in the pig pen and you decide to get into the piggy bank, you can then send BUSD into the pig pen crediting contract, utilizing the dashboard for crediting pigpen pigs to the piggy bank. Choose the amount of time you want to time block for in the piggy bank, and when you send this BUSD in, it's going to automatically pair it with your pigs at the best possible rate. And if there's any left over, and the reason why there would be any left over is due to slippage. So if the price was to slightly move in the time from between the time that you sent the BUSD in to the time it's confirmed, you will then get either a small amount of the BUSD back, which is going to be a fraction of a percent, or a small amount of the pigs will be left on the contract that you could then decide you want to send more BUSD in, or you could just send those easily to the pigpen contract. If you decide to credit the piggy bank, you will get access, or you'll be benefited the same 20% bonus that anybody who's depositing fresh capital to the piggy bank will be able to access. And this is huge, because this isn't just 20% on your principal, right? This is 20% on your principal that you are then earning a time blocking bonus for. And this time blocking bonus is added to your principal daily, allowing you to earn compound interest on your bonus. And this is why you see such huge increases in percentage of yield that you can earn for deciding to time block. It's because the piggy bank is the only variable time blocking protocol that allows you to earn compound interest on your bonus. So all these other variable time blocking protocols, which there's only a few, they force you to time block for a period of time, and then you're stuck. You're stuck in at that rate. You cannot increase your principal in that position. You are not earning interest on the bonus that you get for time blocking, and this bonus is not added to your principal over time, allowing you to earn compound interest. All of these things are happening at piggy bank, and it's extremely innovative, and it's something I'm very proud to bring to the space. And it's unlike any other product that's available in DeFi right now. And I'm going to, as we get further into it, I'm going to talk about some of the improvements that we've made to the piggy bank and the pig pen. Now, the wallet crediting is something that really is it's only affecting 3% of the total supply in pigs. So it's really something that less than 1% of users have to even be thinking about, really. But these will just be airdrops. So if you had pigs in your wallet or pigs LP tokens in your wallet when V1 was paused, V2 will just be airdropped to you when it goes live. But as I said, this is only making up 3% of the total supply of these assets. So it's next to nothing. And there's huge incentive for people to take these pigs because there's such little even in circulation to earn that 20% bonus and get in at the ground floor in piggy bank, if not in pigpen, to get that immediate large share of the pigpen supply right from day one when we start earning this yield. So that is the crediting, right? Now, let me start getting into improvements. One of the major improvements we made is the ability to utilize PancakeSwap's V2. So currently, we're using PancakeSwap's V1 syrup pool. There are multiple logistical improvements that were made to the V2 syrup pool that allow for us to generate a larger yield from it. And since this is their new integration, we know that it's going to be operational for a long period of time, and we're not going to need to do any kind of migration in the near future. But we created flexibility that allow us to do a migration much easier in the future in case they do decide to go with a V3 syrup pool. So in the near future, or not the near future, but in the future, if they do move to a V3 pool, it will not take any kind of major pausing of any contracts or anything like that. It will be as simple as people clicking a button, approving the button, confirming, and their cap will be immediately migrated over to the new master chef if this is required, or if there was a major change in PancakeSwap, for example, or if it was just a matter of them going to a V3 syrup pool, most likely that would require nothing, as far as any kind of major migration. We would be able to, with the approval of the community, because we have no centralized power to move anybody's funds off the contract, but with the approval of the community, they would be able to easily allow us to just switch over their collateral on the contract to integrate into V3. So we've made the improvements to be more flexible as far as our ability to work with various lending protocols, which is also very important because, as I was saying, we will not just be integrating our LP tokens. We have just secured a partnership for our single asset LPs, which is huge, guys. That's millions of dollars worth of additional BUSD yield that will be able to be paid out every single month. So, I'm very, very happy with what we've been able to do in the past 2 months as far as the improvements, the networking, and just the innovation that we'll be able to bring in to really improve a model that was already the best yield farming model in the space. Now, piggy bank. So there are several very important improvements that we made to piggy bank. So one of them, I would say the most important improvement we were able to make in piggy bank, is that you could buy fractions of a piglet now. So when we developed piggy bank, we used legacy code from some other protocols that have two assets on a single contract. One that determines the ROI you make, and one that determines the how this ROI is paid out, essentially. So you have one that determines the ROI you make, the percentage of ROI you're making, and the other one is the actual token that you're earning the ROI in, that you can cash out. In previous iterations of protocols that have two assets on the same contract, you can only do fractionalized buying with one of those assets. And this is due to the limitations in Solidity and the fact that with Solidity, you cannot do decimals. So Solidity cannot do exponential equations, which we're doing in piggy bank. It cannot do fractionalized tokens or decimal places, which we're doing. So these are major innovations that we were able to implement, which are first movers in the space. And you can do fractionalized, token buying with a single asset on a contract, and this is done through padding, which essentially you multiply whatever the decimal is by a very large value. This makes it so it's not a decimal anymore. For example, if you had 0.2, if you multiply that by 10, now it's 2, right? So you essentially you pad it by multiplying it, and then when you're doing the math actually on the contract, you use this higher padded value, and then when you either are determining how it's being paid out in yield or whatever that case may be, it's represented as the smaller decimal value. And that's like kind of a layman's version of how it works. Now, the issue with trying to do this with multiple assets on the same contract is you pad one and you pad the other, and then if one of them is determining the yield that you're generating on the other, when you go to unpad this yield, if when it's unpadded you have a decimal, which it would be, in most cases, it will round out to 0, not crediting that person. And this is why no other contract, or why no other product that has two assets on it, one that determines the ROI that you're making, the other one where the ROI gets paid out on, credits you if you're a small staker, or if you're not able to buy a whole asset. The whole asset determines the ROI. Now, we were able to use some fairly advanced math and a very, very cool and innovative logic scheme that allows us to have both, allows people to both buy fractional piglets and have fractional truffles. And this is huge because, for one, in all these other systems, it's one thing to do a deposit and not have enough to do your initial deposit to buy enough, one piglet, for example. This is going to be rare. The reason why this is rare is because you can increase the supply of piglets, so they're relatively cheap. But it's another thing to have the amount of yield that you're earning every day to be large enough to buy a whole piglet without seriously diluting the starting piglet supply, and it causes issues if you try to do that to a large degree. So this is why no other protocol allowed you to do this, but we were able to use a very innovative logic scheme to allow people to do this. And the reason why that's so important is because even the smallest user in V2 can benefit from compound interest. No matter how small the interest you're earning every day, you can compound that now and you will get credit for it. It will not round out to zero and credit you zero. And this is more important on piggy bank than any other contract that has a 2-token scheme, because of the way the bonus is paid out. The way that the time locking bonus is made available to time lock stakers in piggy bank is by let me just give an example so people, instead of going into the details of the math, just give an example because that'll make people understand it better, I think. So when you stake 10 tokens, right? And these 10 tokens you lock for 50 days. This gives you a 50% bonus. So a 5-token bonus. Now, the way that this 5-token bonus is applied is a little bit of it every day is added to your principal, which, or I should say, is added to your available truffles, which then you can compound into your principal, increasing the amount of yield you're earning. And every day, that day's bonus, which is that day's percentage of the 5 bonus tokens that you got, is added to your available truffles for you to compound into your principal. So essentially, in order to claim each day's bonus, you need to compound it into your principal. And this allows you to earn compound interest on your bonus, which is huge. It's something no other platform allows for. And the way that this bonus is added to your available truffles is using an exponential distribution curve, meaning that on day 1, it might only add 0.01 tokens to your available truffles to compound. On day 2, it might be 0.03. On day 4, it might be 0.07. And it has this exponential curve, so the vast majority of the bonus is added towards the end of the stake, right? And this makes it way more sustainable, but still allows you to be earning compound interest on your bonus and your stake for the life of your stake. And this is huge. And this is why people are able to make, 10, 100x bonuses for staking for a year, or staking for 6 months. The bonuses are very large. And this is because we're factoring in this potential compound interest into the bonus. So this is huge. This is something that no other product has made available, and it's something that was not part of V1 that we implemented into V2. The idea was we wanted to get V2 out and available for people because the community really wanted it, and then integrate a fractional system in an update. Instead, we took this opportunity while we had to pause for the migration to implement this innovation. And, it's part of what took us a bit of time to prepare for this migration, because we had to actually figure out how we were going to implement this, which was not easy, but the logic behind it is rock solid. So, and I would like to thank Magi, right? Magi, or I believe I'm saying his name correctly, is a member of the Drip community. That's also a mathematician and just a genius logician. And we had a good idea of how we wanted to do it, but he helped us out with the math. So, thank you so much to him. And we really had like a meeting of the masterminds to really figure out how we were going to integrate this and really, push the space, right? Because we are at the bleeding edge of DeFi, and we pride ourselves on that. We pride ourselves at being able to be on the bleeding edge of DeFi safely. And this is why we have never lost investor capital once to an exploit or vulnerability or anything like that ever. And that's something we're very proud of, and something we will maintain for the future. And just to speak on some improvements that we made to the team since we started this migration, is we hired an additional developer just to do quality control. He worked at Certic, right? He worked at Certic for doing quality control there for a while. Then he wanted to go on to doing his own developing, and he built a major blockchain, right? So he built a major blockchain for another company that is in some stage of trying to get that pushed, but it was majorly innovative, right? It's a blockchain that determines it's proof of stake and proof of time. So essentially, your power in the system as someone who is verifying transactions is not just based on your stake, like a true proof of stake, but also based on how long you've had that stake. So this is, I mean, he's made some major innovations in his own right in the space, and we're very happy to onboard him. And now his job is specifically just doing quality control for us, and really just being hands-on and essentially watching over everything we're doing his own audits on everything we're doing. When we come to a problem that we need a solution for, he goes into his own space and tries to come up with a solution independent from us, and then we bounce each other's potential solution off each other, and ideally we come to the same conclusion independently, which is what has happened for the majority of time. So there are multiple major improvements we've made to our development process and our development team. But I've gone over some of that in previous AMAs, and I really want to focus now on the migration and Animal Farm and the pigs contract. So I'm going to keep going here with the piggy bank improvements. Now, previously on piggy bank, we had a deposit and withdrawal fee. The reason why we have a deposit withdrawal fee is because we have a referral bonus. So when you have a referral bonus, you need to ensure that there's no incentive to self-refer. And the way we do that is by making the fee higher than what you would earn through self-referring. So it becomes a self-defeating process, and you end up essentially donating more capital to the system by trying to self-refer than you would if you just get referred legitimately and then refer other legitimate users. Now, like all of our projects, we never take a dev fee in our native token. The reason for this is because in order for us to realize this profit, it would involve us selling our native tokens, which is something we never do, right? I've never sold a dime of drip ever, and I never will. That's the case for REAP and BREAP. And I should say, just to be fully transparent, we did do one OTC sale of REAP like 2 years ago, but this was something that was made very clear that we planned to do and was part of the community that we're going to do this. And the reason why we did this was to get ETH. So we did an OTC deal of a portion of the REAP tokens, which I had got from the pre-sale, and we sold them OTC to a venture capitalist group, which had vesting on it to ensure that they couldn't just dump it. And then we used this ETH as rewards to pay out the top liquidity providers in the system. This is how we incentivized a lot of liquidity to enter REAP early on. And I'm proud to say that these the venture capitalist owner that we sold the REAP tokens to OTC still holds 100% of those REAP tokens, because he's the kind of guy where as long as he sees progress and as long as he sees that we're continuing to build the ecosystem, he's fully on board. And he's, a multi-millionaire, hundreds of billions of dollars. So he's and the amount of REAP he has is relatively small, right? It's less than 1%. So less than 1% of total supply. So anyways, my point was that we never sell the native tokens to have, to support developers or any kind of developer fee. But we needed to have some sort of deposit withdrawal fee to disincentivizing self-referring and leeching through self-referring. And what we're utilizing these pigs for that are coming from this deposit fee is a new dividend cash flow for Pigpen. So this is going to be a huge, multi-million dollar, weekly cash flow going to Pigpen stakers that was not going to them on V1, and 100% of these pigs are coming from a deflationary model, which is removing them from circulation, as opposed to inflating them or diluting the supply to pay out a dividend in them. Now, some people were asking about this, so I want to speak to it. The referral bonus on Piggy Bank is dependent on the amount of dogs you have in the single asset staking dogs pool. Now, since the dogs contracts are going live a couple weeks after the pigs contracts, we needed to address this. So the way we're addressing this is any referrals that are done before the dog tokens goes live will get a set flat 2% referral bonus. When the V2 Dogs Mastership contract goes live, it will then become a variable referral bonus from 0 to 5%, depending on the amount of dogs you have staked. And the reason why this is important to address is because we want to ensure that influencers can start getting a referral bonus immediately at launch, and they wouldn't need to wait. That way we can take advantage of that, because a referral bonus, if structured correctly, is the best promotion and marketing you can have. So especially if it's structured in a way where this bonus is not made immediately available to dump, which is the case with Piggy Bank. In order to actually claim this bonus, you need to compound it into your principal, which then allows you to earn yield off of it. It's not made immediately available to your wallet or your claimable divs to claim. So there's a lot more I could talk about the Piggy Bank, but I want to, we've been going for a little over an hour now. I want to get through this, right? And there's so much we could talk about. So, Pigpen, I've already discussed this, right? So let me just, I'll just read this out. So I already discussed a lot of it. Let me just read this because it will take 2 minutes and it might touch on some detail that I haven't addressed yet. So, essentially, for the vesting of the Pigpen, I wrote, when I'm developing logic structures for our products, I not only look to what's working in DeFi, but also in traditional markets. Many DeFi developers overlook functions that have worked for generations in traditional markets, which would fit perfectly in DeFi. And when I say this, I'm speaking to our referral structure in Drip, for example, which is the most efficient, most high-performing referral structure in all of crypto. And a large part of that logic structure comes from traditional markets. So also the Drip UI, for example, we got the Drip UI layout from essentially investor banks, very large investor banks, because we know they're putting billions of dollars in customer research into how to design their UI, and we wanted to take advantage of that. So this is what I'm speaking to when I talk about these kinds of things. Now, pigs, which have been staked in the Pigpen, represent a share ownership of the animal farm. This includes a share of all platform fees and a governance protocol which allows them to vote on the future of the platform. Due to this important role Pigpen stakers have in the platform, as well as the huge dividend payouts they will earn, and they did earn, they will earn when it goes live, when V2 goes live, even substantially more dividends than they earned in V1, I should say. It is important that a vesting protocol is implemented on the principle of Pigpen stakers. Just as a company's shares are often vested in traditional markets to ensure the owners and operators of the protocol are in for the long-term benefit of the platform. We have implemented a 50-day staking or vesting period on the pig's principal staked in the pig pen. This 50-day vesting period works by making 2% of the staker's principal available for withdrawal daily, effectively making 100% of their principal available for withdrawal after 50 days. Okay, so increased cash flow. V1 Pigpen was a first of its kind, allowing stakers to earn a high yield dividend paid out in BUSD. This BUSD dividend will remain in V2, but on top of it, we will have a major new cash flow that allows Pigpen stakers to earn pigs as well. The pigs that will be earned as yield in V2 Pigpen come from deposit withdrawal fees in Piggy Bank. This is huge. Now, since I wrote this white paper, and this gives you some perspective on how fast we're moving and the kind of network we're developing along the way. Since this was written, which was just a couple days ago, we have just secured another partnership that will allow us to another huge cash flow in the form of the collateral rehypothecation of our single asset pools as well. So this will be added to the white paper, but this is super, just a big deal for the Pigpen and Pigpen stakers and the ecosystem as a whole. Now, bullish pigs. With these new and innovative Pigpen mechanics, not only will it be generating way more value than it did in the V1 model, it is also way more bullish for pigs, considering 97% of all pigs will be locked up at launch. Pigs will be highly deflationary because not only will the incentive be stronger than ever to remove it from circulation, there's also a 3% burn rate on all sold pigs. So this allows the pigs token to be highly deflationary. And when you have all of these mechanics coming together, it just spells out one thing for what pigs is going to do when this thing goes live. All right. Another update we did, which is huge, which a lot of people, if it's not explained properly, may not get the gravity of how important it is. But we improved the burn mechanism on both the dogs and the pigs token. So the way that a lot of developers implement their burn function is by sending the token to a 0x0000 address. This does remove those tokens from circulation. But when you look at analytics sites, and when you look at BSC Scan and Dex Tools and CoinMarketCap and all of these sites, it still acts like these tokens are in circulation because they are just still sitting in a wallet. So they're treated by all these analytics sites as if all those tokens are just sitting in people's wallets, right? Which is the exact opposite of how you'd want a burn mechanism to be displayed. So the way that we have implemented it is by utilizing a burn mechanic which completely removes the tokens from supply in a way that removes them completely. So the total supply is actually reduced. They're not just going to sit in a wallet that people can't access. The supply is actually reduced when they are burned. And this means our analytics will be more accurate than they ever have been. They'll be more accurate than many other projects in the space. Things that, such as like market cap and other values that traders and investors look at to determine whether they want to invest or not. Let me just give one very simple example of this. A lot of investors look at market cap to determine whether it's too late or not. When they see a market cap of 10 billion, they may think right away, they might overlook it. A lot of them might say, oh, it's too late. It has a market cap of 10 billion. That's ridiculous. How does a project even have a market cap of 10 billion, et cetera, right? Not realizing that tokens that are in the burn address that are not even part of the circulation are diluting this market cap, making it way, way higher than it really should be. Utilizing the burn mechanism that we've implemented in V2 actually takes these tokens out of the total supply, not just the circulating supply, but the total supply, allowing us to have an accurate market cap. So the market cap represents the true market cap that we have, and this makes it way more attractive for investors that are looking at these analytics to determine whether it's too late or not. So this is huge. It not only allows us to have more accurate analytics, but way more bullish analytics because for reasons I just explained, right? So that's big, right? Now, another huge major improvement we made to the liquidity helper contract that was sitting on the master chefs. So let me just read this out, right? Because I think I did a decent job of writing it. And then, like I did previously when I read it, I will kind of riff where it makes sense. I'm going to mute for literally 2 seconds. Okay, so let me just read this. This is what we call our auto liquidity mechanic for the dogs token. The way that it worked in V1, right, is in V1 Animal Farm, in the V1 Animal Farm, the 3% tax on dogs transactions, which was allocated to providing and locking liquidity for the dogs token on PancakeSwap, would take the 3% tax on dogs, send it to the liquidity helper contract, where it would then sit, right? Then 25% of the BUSD that's being generated from the deposit fees on Animal Farm, that BUSD is sent to the liquidity helper contract. When the BUSD on the contract reaches a specified threshold, it then pairs the BUSD on that contract with the dogs on that contract to add liquidity. Now, when you add liquidity, you need to have an equal value of both assets to be able to pair them. So what V1 did was, if there were significantly more, or not even significantly, just more BUSD value than dogs value on liquidity helper contract, when this threshold was reached to add liquidity, it would then use some of that BUSD to buy dogs to create an equal value of BUSD and dogs on the contract, and then add that liquidity, where it would then be locked on PancakeSwap. Now, if there were significantly more dogs on the contract, or I should just say more dogs on the contract, more dogs value on the contract than BUSD when this threshold was hit, it would then sell a portion of those dogs until there was an equal amount of value of both dogs and BUSD on the contract, and then pair them. Because there's a 3% tax on all dogs transactions, which is going to the liquidity helper contract, that meant that there was almost always more dogs value on the contract than BUSD value on the contract, which means every time this threshold was hit, it would be selling some dogs to pair liquidity. And I never want to have baked in sell pressure in the protocol where it's selling any of our native assets, even if it's to add liquidity. In V2, we made a major improvement to this by creating a mechanic where instead of it selling dogs to create an equal value of dogs and BUSD on the contract, if there was too much dogs, it will burn those dogs to create an equal value of BUSD and dogs on the contract, and then pair them. And because the 3% tax on dogs and the way that volume works, because there will almost always be more dogs value on the contract than BUSD on the contract, it means that it's going to be burning a ton of dogs, and the liquidity helper contract can literally only add buy pressure to the dog's token. So it will either burn dog tokens and add liquidity, or buy dog tokens and add liquidity, as opposed to V1, where it would either buy dog tokens and add liquidity or sell dog tokens and add liquidity. So this is huge, right? This is a major bullish change in our game theory, which is going to make dogs perform way, way higher than it did on V1. And this is something that I was just so excited when we came up with the logic for this, and it's just I'm very bullish on it when we go live on dogs, which will be a couple weeks after pigs. And the reason why we're doing that is so we have a couple weeks for pigs to really get its footing and really start making major gains, which it will, due to the way that so much of it is locked up and the incentives for people to buy it and lock it up. And that allows the dogs token to have huge demand and a major use case as soon as it goes live. And due to the innovations that we made to dogs mechanics, such as liquidity helper, there's that much buy pressure, and the rate at which it's deflating is that much higher. So this is another major improvement that I'm very excited about. And there's I could list a dozen other improvements that we made, but a lot of them are very technical, like ways that we made the contract more efficient here and there, so the gas price will be less, and this kinds of things, right? So we made a lot of major improvements that are that I didn't list because unless you're someone that is very knowledgeable in Solidity, you really wouldn't capture it. And I didn't want to dilute the major improvements and innovations that we made that people would understand by adding a ton of other stuff that people wouldn't understand. So I could keep going with all of these innovations that we made, because there are at least a dozen more, but I want to keep going here with stuff that I know you guys will appreciate. Okay, so let me talk about Piggy Bank, the Pigpen, and the Pigs token when we go live on Thursday. So the way that it's going to work is we are going to add liquidity with the V2 Pigs token paused, right? We are then going to airdrop people who are getting airdropped the tokens to their wallet, which is less than 3% of the supply, to their wallet, paused. We will credit people in Piggy Bank, paused, and we'll credit people in Pigpen, paused. And then we will unpause it all at the same time. And due to the fact that we have deep liquidity on all of these various contracts, Piggy Bank has millions of dollars worth of LP on it. Pig token has something like $30 million worth of liquidity on it. Pigpen contract has something like 90-something% of our tokens, but that will change because some people will decide to credit Piggy Bank, but regardless, it will be locked up in one or the other. It's not going to be in circulating supply. So when these contracts go live, there is no room in there for sniping, because if someone was to try to snipe, they're not going to significantly move the price in any kind of way that would allow them to then pump and dump, because they would be sniping into a deep liquidity pool, and essentially they would just be another large buyer, which will benefit all of us, especially since the mechanics of the system have sustainability protocols that, for example, the max payout, the cap on daily ROIs, the vesting period. So there is all the incentive in the world for legitimate buyers to come in, and all the incentive in the world for someone who would be a sniper to do that large deposit that they would do at listing, but none of the downside, because we're coming in with the kind of liquidity necessary to not have the kind of pump and dump price action. So when you include all of this with the 20% bonus that we have on the piggy bank for people that are depositing fresh capital into the piggy bank, the major new cash flows that we have for the pig pen, which will immediately start paying on BUSD and immediately start generating huge amounts of pig dividends from the piggy bank, right? And like all protocols, there's a wave, that huge initial wave of TVL, which is going to generate a very large amount upfront, which means you want to be in these products early. And of course, these products allow you to compound and compound interest, which always benefits people that are early. But it has the mechanics that we've already discussed, if you know anything about the pig pen and piggy bank, which make it attractive no matter when you're coming in, due to the well, I could go into it a little bit. For example, with the piggy bank, there's the piglets, which have the piglets which have a constant price, which means no matter when you get in, you're always paying the same price for piglets, and there's always being more piglets generated, which means that no matter when you get in, you can always get a fair rate for your piglets. And what determines